Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video, so it's time to do another one of these hot takes. Is this number, so this is going to be number 10, I think. I think this was from the last set. I'm not sure specifically if this is like going to be 10 or 11, but typically what I'll do here is, I'm sure we got a lot here, so 900 replies, we have 300 retweets. I'm sure a lot of these are quotes, which I've got pulled up right here. We'll take a look. What I'll probably try and do is we'll go through for an hour, and then I'll do a separate hour as a separate video, and that allows me to get through a lot of people's replies, stuff like that. Keep in mind that I am very long-winded, and if we get to someone's comment, I don't want to just blow past it, right? So, let's see how we do. We'll start with some replies first. We got Goat Resh right here at the top. Let's see. Almost 9 years in, we don't have premium, so, summonable. What if team-up characters freeze and cooler? Z-Broly, Dragon Ball Super Broly, make no sense to me. If I want to do Dokkan original animation, it's a perfect opportunity to capitalize on it. Okay, this is an interesting comment from Goresh, because, Goresh, you know why, this guy, how do we say this? I mean, keep in mind that there's, they're gonna have to get stuff approved and blah, 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 blah. Alright, let's continue on. But, yeah, I mean, listen, this would be cool. This would be fire. These types of things for sure. We have the free-to-play LR, right? Wait, did he mention specific? Yeah, now Trunks and Broly. Yeah, like, this stuff's coming in, right? Like, we'll see. This character's better than every... no, this is not true. I could take a look at the profile pic. It's Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Here's the thing with this guy. He is very good, but he is specifically designed... Well, I'm actually not really too sure. I don't know which to say. He is made for the Omega fight, or the Omega fight is made for him. I don't know which one of the two it actually is. But that's what this guy is. The Omega fight, I think, is the second hardest fight in the game. And it has a lot of the very difficult AoE gimmick that Fusion Zamasu has, that Omega fight also has. But the problem is that a lot of the Dismal Future Red Zone fights, this guy can get touched very easily. Like, turn one, right away, a super attack, and he just gets smoked, right? Like, it's tough. It makes it very difficult for me to just go, oh yeah, he's better. When you get the full power Super Saiyan 4, I mean, I'm tempted to say he is better than Blue Vegito, only because full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku has literally never died for me, whereas Vegito Blue has, right? And it's not, Vegito Blue, super, and then he did, like, a bunch of, like, normal attacks, and then I got supered by 600k for a boss. So it's like, I mean, if we want to say full power is better, and, like, the oob part of it is better, sure, but, like, it's just the overall unit doesn't work as effectively for the Dismal Future Red Zone as I would like. See, Zamasu and Gohan, yeah, I'd put them both above this guy, but Blue Vegito as well, and I probably would put Trunks, dude, I put Trunks above him as well? I probably would, because the thing is, you have to run this guy in slot 1, and he gets cooked. The thing about Vegeta and Trunks, you could point them out. Oh, well, Vegeta and Trunks. You don't have to run them in slot 1 at the start of the fight. They're guarding in slot 2 and 3. So that's not even completely true. This guy outside of slot 1 will get one-shotted. Which, I mean, again, we did a video. What was it? I think it was my first runs against Red Zone Zamasu, because you guys know, I'm sure this is going to come up at some point, like, we're going to get into the item talk, right, which has become a very big thing in the community recently, but in my very first run against Zamasu, which one is it? This right here. I lost all 5 runs, and, I mean, look, Super Saiyan 4 Goku, dude, if we click it, Super Saiyan 4 Goku getting smacked is literally the most replayed section of the video. Like this right here. Yeah, this is Super Saiyan 4 Goku getting smacked. I was like, because I think the run right before this was him dying in slot 1, I think. We had a run where he dies in slot 1. Maybe it's this one. I have to go back and double check. Right, but he has like 2 deaths, like just like instantaneously. So this right here, he's out of slot 1, boop, instant death. And then I guess maybe the immediately next run, right? So there he is in slot 1, and then oops, pretty much instant death. Right? Like that's I can't, like, if you want me to just go like, oh yeah, dude, he's like top 5, like, which is a lot of people say, shit like that like doesn't work too well. Now, sure, I mean, we could get, he's a GT Super Saiyan 4 character. So, like, this situation right here, he could do better, right? Like, we could have GT up, we could have Saiyan Roar up for him. But, I mean, that's with Bulma's support. Like, he's still going to take a lot of damage. And it's so funny. I have people looking at this and say, why did you put him in slot 1 and the blues in slot 3? Well, because literally the run right before it, I didn't put him in slot 1 and I got punished for it. That's why. So, I mean, that is a good example of why this guy, while he is very good, I just, right now, the way my brain is working for these characters, I'm gearing much closer to these Dismal Future Red Zone stages, and I am also accounting for Omega. I'm interested in how a character could do against, like, the Metal Cooler Core and, like, Cell Max and stuff like that, but Dismal Future Red Zone and Omega, and you could say the God Immortal event as well. Those are what matters. Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing with this being a hot take. People pretend it doesn't happen. Every single celebration in Dokkan history, people have said, it sucks, it's mid, there's nothing to do, there's no content. Like, it's literally been every celebration ever. People now rewrite history and act like the Cooler movie celebration last year was like, oh my god, people were loving it. Unlike this year, the 2023 Worldwide, which people hated the whole way through, which the loud section of people were hating on the celebration every second. But it was just like that with the Cooler movie celebration last year. Nowadays, people are like, oh my god, that celebration's the pinnacle of Dokkan. Which, I mean, I would agree. I think that is the best celebration in Dokkan history. But people were hating on it every second last year as well. That's what happens. Uh-oh. What is this? Oh, this is... I mean, I don't... no offense to Vector. Vector, who I would argue has improved himself tremendously from the days of a year ago. Vector was bad, dude. No offense to the guy, man, but it was bad. Him... We had the Frog as the Michael Jordan of bad takes. The Frog is retired, though. He's ridden off into the sunset. I believe he's just a Boruto enjoyer now, so shout out to him, right? But Vector has improved greatly. I mean, I can't put these two above these guys. No, I'm not going there. It's just a little too easy for these guys to get really clapped up. All right, so in this fight, they have a nullification, and they go Susher. I mean, Broly, it's very difficult for them to take damage the majority of the fight, because they have a Ki Blast nullification. Rose, at the start of the fight, they have a Ki Blast nullification, and then they could go Susher. Fair. No. Well, I mean, he does AoE. The androids, is it really going to go that well for them? Metal Cooler Core. No. I'm taking the I'll give these 4 for tech androids, actually, probably. But, well, I mean, this guy, actually, the androids against this guy, they're not going to struggle at all. Now, this is bullshit. It's like some of this, like, I could get down with, like, the idea he's got in his head. But, like, bro, this is a tech phase. This is a tech fight. The whole thing is a damn tech fight. Like, they're going to shit on First Form Cell. No. I mean, the tech androids with the Ghost Usher to get you set up, maybe there. Whatever. Not the biggest. The point being, these guys are underwhelming. I agree with that. Okay, we'll go with that. Hot take is that I suck. Also, read JJK. I'm caught up. On JJK. Oh, I know who this guy is. He does pretty good challenge runs with Super Trunks. I've seen numerous of his. We could pull it up. I've seen a couple of these before. Hold on. Yeah, all right. Here we go. Here we go. I got one. I got one. I got one. So he'll do like a run like this, right? So this is half of a leader skill, right? And it is just smart team building where Super Trunks can give you a Ghost Usher, Super Trunks can give you a Ghost Usher, the androids can give you a Ghost Usher, and then Cooler you could just throw out to the wolves to die and get a turn reset. And you could do two Ghost Ushers. I think that this is a perfect time for us to talk about the item stuff. We could do it right now. This is going to come up at some point in here. The new fights are very tough, and it's kind of like reignited the item talk for a lot of people. Here's my take on items. I don't really care what people do. You could use items or not use items. That doesn't bother me. Like, do it. Like, play the game in a way you enjoy. This guy, Gino, like, this is what he enjoys. Dude, do that. Like, keep doing these runs. The point of this game, which I mean, I feel like 95% of this community kind of loses sight of, is literally it's a game. Have fun, right? Now, me personally, I do not use items. Number one, these days I do like to try and very much evaluate characters, right? Like, I try and get a good sense of like how good this character is compared to this other character. Items are kind of like an external thing, like a crutch. Once you start throwing in, Whis items and Ghost Ushers and stuff like that, characters' kits matter far less, right? Like, you could cover up, design flaws of nearly any character with how strong items are these days. So, because what I'm doing is I'm trying to evaluate characters and be like, okay, free-to-play player, your name is Zeke. You really don't want to summon for int Android 17 and 18 because they're kind of fodder right now against all the tough fights. I don't see how pulling them is going to allow you to get a bunch of missions done or something like that. Like, I probably don't see it, right? And then the other reason I'm not the biggest fan of items, this is a little bit more secondary, but Dokkan, they have taken measures to limit items heavily as content has gotten harder. A couple of years ago, it's 4 items. Then they made it, 4 items plus a support memory. Then for the GT Legendary Goku event and the Legendary Vegeta event, and I guess actually the God event, they limited you to 2 items? God event is 2 items as well, right? So they started limiting item usage because items are just so overpowered. And then now Red Zone were dropped down to 1 item. I mean, who's to say that the next difficult content is not going to just ban items entirely? Only allow to use support memories or something like that. Like, I could see it. Dokkan has been steadily moving in this direction where they're limiting item usage. They even have created no item missions. So, I mean, I have seen a large subset of people, typically the APT, like, offensive players, who say, oh my god, no items mean nothing, which, I mean, sure, I mean, am I going to prove that wrong? Probably not, but nowadays there are missions and content that's geared much more towards not being able to use items than, what was the really tough content people are going to struggle on? Red Zone Fusion Zamasu, where you could use 1 item slot, right? So that's the thing with that. Okay, so that was quite a long intro leading up to what Gino's going to say, but I just wanted to establish that this is like I don't know what to say, like this guy does challenge runs, like in a different vein than what I do, right? Because like I'm doing no item runs, whereas like this is like half a liter. And I would say too that this isn't like less impressive than me doing a no item run. I think speed runs are pretty valid as well. I think those are fun. I myself am pretty bad at speed runs in like every game. And I'm bad at going fast in literally everything. So speed runs aren't my thing, but I do enjoy watching them. So I think speed runs in Dokkan are very valid. I'm surprised we don't see people have made speedrunning more of a thing in Dokkan. I feel like I don't see it super often. Okay, so Super Trunks does suck in Red Zone Fusion Zamasu, but he's better than I give him credit for in Omega. Sure. I mean, I've heard a lot of people really say that Trunks can move pretty smoothly through the Omega fight. A lot of times when I've done it, like, I've just gotten blasted. To be fair, though, I feel like a lot of the times it's been Trunks himself that has gotten blasted, though. You can build a pretty slow but great team with him on Omega, and he absolutely destroys it for free. Far better than the androids, because at least he's good in the top 2 hardest stage. I mean, Sure, I mean, I could see it to an extent. I mean, Super Trunks, provided he doesn't get smoked within the first couple of turns, where he's kind of like a 50-50 guard or dodge character, or guard or die character. Besides that, like, yeah. And then Super Trunks, no one is kind of like questioning the transform Super Trunks or nothing like that, right? Like, he is just him. Transform Super Trunks. Same with Kale. They're beasts. Okay, that was, let's jump over to some quotey quotes here. This is how we're, okay, phew. All right, yeah, this is one of the big things that I knew we would be touching on. Let's take a look at this. You may not agree with this, but Fuse Zamasu fight is honestly a hard fight when it comes to benchmarking units, okay? Slots units are just dead on release. Units seem to be better according to that fight, but expecting every unit to be a slot 1 god is not it, in his opinion. We need variety, and having every single unit have damage reduction, evade, dodge, into their kits would make units just be the same. Have a good day, Mr. Truth. What are we doing, the Mr. White thing? I guess that does make sense. I disagree. Here's the thing with the Fusion Zamasu fight. We'll start with this, and then we'll kind of move around. The Fusion Zamasu fight right now is the hardest fight. Now, what happens when we get a hardest fight? Let's just go within the last 2 years. Red Zone Broly, Red Zone Cell Max, or not Red Zone, just the regular Cell Max fight. 8th anniversary Sin Shenron, the Omega fight, Red Zone Fusion Zamasu. What's the point? They all get harder. They're not getting easier. So it's like people really, I can also turn this into like defense is always better than offense. Defense always ages better than offense. Defense always ages better than offense. Defense always has been and always will be far better than offense in this game. It's going to age better and it's just going to be better. We're just going to end up falling back into this same, like time is a circle in this community, right? Like, we're just going to go back to the same things over and over. This fight is very tough and it's very toxic. The slot 1 AoE is very tough for a lot of characters to maneuver with. But, I mean, unfortunately, this is the #1 fight that matters. It's the hardest fight, right? This is the one we need to put the most stock into. When they're going to add missions to content, Metal Cooler Core got missions added, Red Zone Broly got missions added, Red Zone Omega got missions added, Red Zone Cell Max got missions added. Like, they add missions to these fights. They're adding missions to Fusion Zamasu. They're not adding it to the Red Zone Goku Black, the Red Zone First Form Cell. So, it's like, at some point, like, we just got to accept it. And this thing right here, where every unit has to have damage reduction, evade, or dodge, or, you know, to make characters good. I mean, I don't want to say to make characters good, right? But this has been a thing forever. Why is Tech Ultimate Gohan still good? Right? Like, well, I mean, we can call him good, right? I mean, he might get hit a little hard at the start of fights. Might be a massive amount of damage he takes. You know, just saying. But you could certainly... these abilities have always been good. And characters that have these typically are better, right? I mean, I really don't want to go into this too much, because I'm going to be having to talk about this moving forward. Every time we get a middling release, which the androids were... I mean, Kale didn't feel like it on release, but she's turned into it. Like, people are going to get frustrated that a character that just came out is mid, right? Compared to stronger, better characters. And it's just going to be a circle of us bitching and complaining and arguing. But unfortunately, I mean, despite what everyone wants to think, this Fuse Zamasu fight, like, this is, you know, what we're going to be working towards. It's a very tough fight right now. Despite the fact how hard it is and the fact that it is the benchmark and stuff like that. Red Zone Broly was way more toxic on release. It was way harder on release, right? Like, that was just significantly worse. The difference, to me, the difference between, like, how the community's reacted to, like, Red Zone Zamasu and Broly is that that fight, Broly, was not up on Global and JP at the same time. I truly believe there would be a different... People were mad and called Red Zone ass when it first came out. it's kind of become another thing that's been lost in time. But if you guys remember, I was arguing with people for months. You can pull up tweets, you can go back to videos, and I'm telling people, like, people are like, more matters than just red zone. And I was telling them, like, yeah, that's true, but it's also not true. These fights are only going to get harder, right? Like, and I mean, guess what happened? So it's like, I would argue that people need to just accept that it is what it is with Fusions and Wellsu. You could say the fight sucks, bad design, toxic. All those I think would likely be true, but unfortunately, when we get character details, the first thing I'm looking for is, how are you doing here? And then past that, how are you doing against Omega, who has the same big time AoE attacks? The only difference is that characters can build up to it. But Omega has the same thing going on, which is these powerful AoE hits. People want to run their offensive glass cannon characters that do a 20 million into a 15 million into a 15 million into a 15 million, right? That's what a lot of people have fun with. I have fun winning, right? So I'll take the character that, you know, with the huge guard and damage reduction over the character that's a 20 into the 15 into the 15 into the 15, right? So it doesn't really bother me so much, but a lot of these offensive, like, you know, big time characters, they get smoked in here, right? Last thing I do want to add before I move on, this is a pretty common take right here. I'm surprised we don't see higher numbers right here. People really agree with this, big time. Big time. People really agree with this. So I want to get to make that point. This is the best year in terms of character choices. Now listen, I think maybe representation is good for some people. Super Trunks finally gets one. I think that was, you know, he needed one. Kale gets one. I mean, I'm not gonna go like, oh my god, she needed one or something like that. But like, you know, Kale getting a Dokkan Fest, like I was like, yeah, this is fine, this is cool. Turles, people pointed out, oh my god, it's like our 50th Turles, but that shit was so disingenuous from the start because people are counting like a 2015 banner unit and then like Great Ape Turles from like 2016, you know, and like a world tournament Turles and then like a free-to-play like people are counting like that, like, oh my god, another Turles. Well, I don't think the shitty banner unit from 2015 counts, right? This is Turles' third premium unit. Not the biggest deal, but look at him. Turles is evil Goku. Like, he's gonna make they're gonna do evil Goku, right? And then 17 and 18, sure, whatever. God Goku, you know, look at this right here. This trio, along with them being the best, all needed their flowers. They're great characters, right? Piccolo Jr., Goku, right? Both Legends and Dokkan finally have them. You know, that's one of the best fights in the series, one of the most iconic fights in the series. And then God Goku gets a Dokkan Fest, pretty good. So I could see the argument. Character choices for units, but also worse in terms of kit. So I'm curious, what do we say for Super Buu? I would argue, Super Buu is a horrible release, probably both in kit and choice. Because remember, I mean, the loser, he is a loser, does not have a 200%. Still. Which is ridiculous. And it's very difficult for me to sign off. You guys know, I'm the Bandai dick sucker. I'm, you know, I'm glazing it. You know, veins popping out of my neck for Bandai. Like, we got it. We've heard this a million times before, right? So, like, if I start defending the game, you know how people are going to take it. Oh, here he goes, you know, bending over on his knees for Bandai. But listen, I don't think I personally can get behind that this is the best year for character choices. And you know why? I refuse this guy. We can never say that this is the best year when this is the third base Goku in 4 months. People aren't going to do it. I'm putting this guy as like worse than Raditz, man. In terms of like this is the true bottom is this right here. Because this is a premium summonable character. This is the bottom of the barrel right here is this guy. Him. That's just like, even if they add the same name linking update, which would make them drop in 3 base Gokus far less of a problem, right? And it would just be such a positive thing for the game. It's still stupid to do 3 base Gokus in 4 months, even if they could link together. It's ridiculous. Worse in terms of kits. I mean, yeah, this is the big point I was making the other day, right? That the filler Dokkan Fest this year are horrid. All of them. It's bad. But the main celebration ones are pretty baller, right? Even LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku and the 2 Dokkan Fest LRs from Worldwide and the 2 Dokkan Fest LRs from Anniversary are all great. Okay. Turn 1 AoEs from the hardest fight are going to be the most annoying point to talk about going forward, because every single release going to be looked at from the lens of tanking them, so when they inevitably miss the mark over and over, it's going to create constant negativity. I do agree. I do. Absolutely. I am going to take no pleasure in talking about this all the time, right? The next Dokkan Fest is going to be Lord Slug, and that boy is going to get 60% damage reduction when he supers, and I'm going to go, well, guys, well, that's just how it's going to go, man. And this is going to be a thing moving forward. I would much rather the Fusion Zamasu fight have been designed differently, because, yes, it is just going to create constant negativity, and there's no avoiding it. I mean, it's like, yeah, like, to be like, oh my god, like, you're like a top 2 character, that's not the 50 million super into the 30 million super. It's, being able to go into a fight without fear of them getting just like blown into hell easily, right? Base Vegito Blue has worst animations in a main headliner Dokkan Fest LR unit ever. Well, that's not true. Let's be fair about this. Let's remove the first 3 years of Dokkan. Because, like, let's not count animations before they really made the animation sparkle, right? Just to back up Koma here. So, we're gonna start with, like, Metal Cooler in October of 2018. Listen, does it get talked about? But, I mean, the LR Super Saiyan 4s, the 4th anniversary of 2019, I mean, they weren't that good, were they? I would probably say them, because I guess the distinction is being made base Vegito Blue specifically. I mean, so they have the 2 attacks and they have the intro would be the animations we're talking about, versus the LR Super Saiyan 4s. I don't know. I could just side with it. Worst intro in the game by far. It's right up there for sure. Yeah, I don't know. The Blues animations are really bad, regardless. Very bad. Top 20 overall. I mean, if I did a Yellow Queen LR list, I mean, this guy would probably be pretty high. Full dodge? Yes. The answer is yes. A little bit of additional, since with 1 proc of it, you can get the 50% offensive buff after attacking turn 3. It's not completely... I mean, I like... There's good reasoning here, but Golden Frieza, in order for 1 additional to proc so you can do it, the problem with that... When did he come out? January? He's going to be on page 4 here. Problem with this is... It's right here. You got to be above 50% HP. Now, I'm not saying, oh, no, like, we go into turn 2, like, if you don't have that, like, you're not going to get that extra defense up super quick, which this is what Platty's talking about. But this is also 5th super attack. I'm not going to be in the additional camp on this character. I'm going to say full dodge at this point, yeah. Because you need 5 super attacks. So you pour 30 additional into him, he does an additional normal, and it does nothing, right? Like, it's worthless. Although dodge or additional, they're only really a factor for him defensively on a turn past his first turn. But I mean, this was when this guy, when we first saw his details, we know how busted this guy was, right? Like, this was a very common thing. It was not surprising at all that this guy has aged the way he has. These are the types of characters that will age good and be good into the future. Is something like this. This is what we like to see. Let's get another quote in. Oh, but I mean, I don't know about. I don't typically do like, all right, we're gonna do top 20 units in the game or something like that. Like I did the special occasion with Raditz and everyone lost their minds over it, right? But like if I did a yellow coin LR list, I mean, this guy's in there, right? And like he's like, I wouldn't have him top 10 LRs in the game, but like he's in the discussion for spot 10, I'm sure. It's any woman watching Truth's video. I'm tall, handsome, very rich, know how to draw rich. A gentleman rich. Okay. DM him. Yeah, there's a nice little funny follow-up. Yeah, I already saw this one. Yeah. Well, I mean, we know, dude, the ladies, the e-girls are watching in droves. Hit them up. LR full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku is better than Fusion Zamasu and the Blues. No, I can't get down with it. I can't. It's too easy for him to get smoked. Now, if we're going to say this guy specifically, the actual full power, again, Vegito Blue has been killed for me, and people will say, oh my god, your build is so bad, but you go back and look, and we got the Hidden Potential System additional, he just got an additional normal, and then he gets killed, right? So it's like, it's not even like a build thing. Blue Vegito can get smoked, although if you have his active skill, I mean, you have a 0% chance of dying, right? Unless you're fighting against a boss that cancels dodge, I guess, but you guys get the point. Right, you could maybe argue that full power Super Saiyan 4 is better than Blue Vegito. But overall, the Blue Vegito character is better because they are stronger and more consistently better defensively in slot 1, which is, huge deal. Defense always better than offense, and being stronger defensively, I mean, I feel like it makes them win out. I will say it's easier for this guy to start transforming than the Blues, though, but I'd love to be on board with that, but I can't. All right, wow. Copying, huh? Okay. Releasing multiple units that perform better in long events than making like 5 red zone stages all in with 5-6 turns. Actually, not really good game design. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll agree. One thing to keep in mind is that most people in the community are global players. And there is a fight where, all this build-up and stuff like that works very effectively. Omega, second hardest fight in the game, which isn't out on global yet, right? But it does exist. But, I mean, regardless of that, I mean, it still is true that, like, all these characters build up significantly, right? Yeah, but, I mean, like, the Blues, they work pretty well, even despite them being short fights, stuff like that. Red Zone Zamasu is toxic. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Well, Fusion, the normal Zamasu fight's not toxic, but I'm sure she's talking about Fusion Zamasu. Goku and Vegeta are too weak in base. I mean, overall, I don't agree with that. I mean, I think we could say maybe that their intro could have been 1 turn longer or something like that. I think we easily could have done that. I think that would have been fair. They're great while their intro is up. It's just that they become a complete zero once their intro's not up anymore. We need more extreme unit representation that's worldwide. Yeah. The only thing about that, Trunks was always going to get an LR. It's just always going to happen. I mean, he was the main focus of the celebration. So the replacement for what would have been another villain was Future Gohan. And Future Gohan is a top 3 character. He has amazing anime. His intro is amazing. His active is amazing. With a Dokkan original animation, all of his animations look super good. I mean, yeah, but it's difficult for me to attack Future Gohan because of it. And Future Gohan is the character that would have had to have been replaced for a Goku Black or something like that. And, I mean, I just can't be mad at Future Gohan. Yeah, WWC battle would have been really cool for sure. All right, let's do some replies. Trunks is better than Blue, Goku, and Vegeta. No, I heavily disagree. Alan was right. Who would you rather have? A unit who is safe for their first 2 appearances only, or a unit who's only going to have trouble their second appearance and then is fine defensively? Well, I mean, no. No, no. This is hold on. All right, look at this. This is a video I recorded just a little while ago. Well, a couple hours ago. I took a nap. This is LR Vegeta and Trunks against Red Zone Fusion Zamasu. Everyone's hated fight. Let's take a look at turn 1 here. So here's turn 1, right? We get Vegeta and Trunks, and Future Gohan. Now, remember what the crux of this comment was? Can you guys tell me... wait, hold on. There we go. Can you guys tell... Let's go back. So, Trunks is better than them. Would you rather have a unit who's safe for their first 2 appearances only, or a unit who's only going to have trouble their first or second appearance? Let's take a look at this fight. This fight ends on turn 5. The entirety of the fight is these first 2 appearances, man. This is the thing people aren't getting. These fights, it is tough to get Future Gohan's Domain, Sword of Hope, Blue Vegito. It's tough to get all of them because turn 5 is where these fights end. That's just the way it goes. So, yes, the character who's better their first 2 appearances only is better for 90% of the content right now, besides Omega. So, like, yeah, like, man, like, I'm taking Blue Goku and Vegeta. There's only a small handful of characters who could go up slot 1, turn 1 in these tough fights, man. Like, let's look at turn 1 again. Slot 1, turn 1. Look at this shit. Dude, do you know how many characters survive right here? If we put Trunks there, we die. If we put Future Gohan in slot 1, we die. Like, Future Gohan takes, he's taking damage right there. This is why, like, Trunks' role is just not as good as what Goku and Vegeta do. And, like, it's just, this is a perfect example. This is the argument right here. Because you need a character who is actually going to hang in slot 1 in these fights. That is more important. Trunks is like a damage machine. But guess what's more important than damage? Always and always will be. His defense. Beautiful cat. It doesn't sway my mind, but I love the cat for sure. Committee struggles to take the time to figure out how they feel about certain things. No, they don't. It's within 1 second, they hate everything. Everything is hated within 1 second. No, I disagree. Especially saddening because it leads the developers game to make changes based on bad emotional feedback. The only, like, real thing I think was just, like, bad or emotional feedback was just the Dokkan Fest Carnival thing from last year. That's the only thing. I feel like a lot of the things people do complain about, like, there is merit to it. It's not, like, complete bullshit. Very disappointed in the route Dokkan is going. They aren't playtesting the units. They're just slow. So they released... Well, I mean, I wasn't super crazy about Turles even the day he came out, I guess. But, they released new tough fights. And they just haven't gotten to the point where they're giving us the killers of those tough fights yet. We can liken this to Red Zone Broly, Red Zone Omega coming out at the end of February. Ginyu was really good, but he did not fodderize those fights. Like, the fights could easily... Like, Ginyu could kill the fights, but the fights could kill Ginyu as well. Then we got Majin Vegeta, who wasn't that good until Vegeta and Trunks came out down the line. Which you could say in 17, 18 are kind of like that exact thing right now. Raditz was terrible. LR Goku and Piccolo, I mean, quickly, I felt like they were terrible. The RF Blues were terrible. Golden Week characters certainly were very effective in the newer fights. The Goku and Gohan and the EJL Cell, right? And then, again, RF Blues were bad. Golden Frieza was good. But then Vegeta and Trunks came out, and then every release just destroyed those Red Zone fights, Broly and Omega, right? Once Vegeta and Trunks dropped. So, I mean, my guess is, we'll get, like, New Year's, and then from there, every release is just obliterating, like, Fusion Zamasu and Omega. That's my prediction. There is an incentive to summon on these new units. Yeah, they do a really shitty job, right? Like, it's when you're making these heavily restricted bullshit ass design characters, it becomes very difficult. Like why as a free to play player would you summon for these guys right here, right now? because you can't predict the future. I mean, chances that there's like a major a power UI Goku or something like that's going to come out and these guys are going to make him over the top. I would say those chances are good, but I mean, can we predict the future of when it's going to happen? No. No, we cannot. Damn near zero villain help is comical. I mean, we say that, but we did get the 2 fusion Zamasus in the celebration, which are godly. I mean, we need a lot more, but we can't pretend like EGL Zamasu is not like a monster, right? I would agree that last year's Cooler Movie Celebration was better, but I don't think there's a huge gap the way this implies. Ruined Vegito. I don't fully agree with that, but they made him really unfun because it's very difficult to transform into him, right? So, I mean, if you want to say it's very difficult to become Vegito, so I think they ruined him, I guess that's fair, right? Worldwide brought a lot of controversy since the fights have overwhelmed the usage of almost 90% of units of the game. Yep, but I mean, again, we've seen this. I mean, Red Zone Broly. I mean, do people forget Pure Saiyan Extreme Super Battle Road when that came out in 2021? I feel like people have forgotten that, right? Like, that's another one. Also, can we all agree Dodge is the strongest in ability? Yes, yeah. People did not click on this video to hear me talk about Dodge. But yes, Dodge is stronger than additional and crits. Yes, for sure. It helps to defend against the bosses, yeah. I mean, we'll see, man. I'm hoping that we're gonna get characters who are gonna be really good in these new fights soon. Because it's just gonna be a much more enjoyable community as long as we get that. 95% of the units community deem horrible, irredeemable, trash are perfectly fine units. Actually, oh, he's gonna talk about items. That's Sora. He's talking about items for sure, right? Yeah, I know you, buddy. We already addressed a lot of this, right? We talked about this at length. Nor should units be balanced to be a top 3 contender every release. Why? It's a PvE game. This isn't Legends. I mean, I don't agree with that. I don't think there's any argument besides maybe it's a little bit better for free-to-play players. It's a PvE game. Like, who cares if every character's busted? When are people most excited? When shit is, like, unanimously busted. Look at Ginyu. I will tell this story forever. Get used to hearing the story 50 more times. Me and Gresh are streaming Elden Ring. They announced the LR Super Saiyan 4s on Twitter. And then in-game, we get the Dokkan Fest Captain Ginyu teaser. And the entire chat is just like, oh, W. That's an easy skip for us on Global. Because remember, that time slot, that Ginyu at the start of March, would be the release in June, right before the 7th anniversary. And guess what happened? That's exactly what happened. Ginyu was the release. Yeah, boom, right there. Damn, okay, we went right to it. Ginyu was the release right before the 7th anniversary characters, right? So at the time, they're sitting there thinking, oh, we could easily skip him, so we'll have more stones for these guys who are, you know, the most popular characters ever. But, oh, a funny thing happened in that they made Ginyu ridiculously, obscenely busted. So people, from what I saw when this guy dropped, a lot of people actually did not skip Ginyu, and they actually summoned for him because he's so busted. I want to heavily disagree with this point right here, just because what I care about most is when I can have a nice, relaxing day where people are not bitching all day, every day. And if every character dropped was a top 3 contender, the community would be much happier, right? All this no item craze is making people salty about the game. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, that's not necessarily wrong. Right? Like, a lot of people, I mean, I've explained in depth why I don't use items, right? And even nowadays, you know, these red zone stages, like, I'll just take my 5 losses and then, oh, I didn't beat them right away, then even just use an item to get a win, which I could easily do, right? Like, I'll just take the losses and we'll get them next time. Because one thing I'm doing is playing the game in a way that's most fun for me. And I'm also, you know, kind of in my head getting the data about these characters, right? Like when I did that Red Zone normal Zamasu video, I learned about LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Oh, man, he might not be as good as I had hoped, right? Actually. So, Yeah, there's that. Top things in the game list should have two versions, long events and short events. Well, no, because there's only one. There's literally one solitary event. Uh, that's Omega, but this is under the assumption that we actually have long content, which we don't really have long content. That's the problem, right? Like, well, yeah, in this theoretical long event, this one character is really good. Like, I I'd like to gauge by what we've got right now, right? Oh, love that we got Future Gohan over Rose. Raw active skill animations and hammered home the insane longevity of Dokkan Slice since they make very competent original animations. Yeah, yeah. Both of the kind of like the big time Dokkan original animations, the Vegito Blue special, and or no, it's just the Vegito special, right? And LR Future Gohan's active, are both huge monster W's. Awesome. Oh yeah, that's yeah. That was when I was complaining about the weakness of the androids. Yeah, yeah. I'd say no. Main reason I'm gonna say no to this right here, actually. So turn one, Zamasu's better. Turn two, the AGL blues are probably better. Zamasu's down to 60% damage reduction, right? But then after that, the blues are worthless. And Zamasu is still decent with his 40% damage reduction. If the blues transform, yeah, you're good, but I mean, that shit ain't guaranteed. I'm saying Zamasu over the blues. They could get caught a little bit easier than Zamasu. Majunior's team is massively overlooked. Okay. Both Majuniors and Baby can put the enemy in a giant loop once he drops. I mean, you could also throw Orange Pickle on the team and add to that. Villain staples, LR Golden Frieza. Damn, are we calling LR Metal Cooler a villain staple? Do I need to pull the clip of him taking 300k per normal from Red Zone Fusions and Monster? I guess, man. I mean, what other villains are we running, right? I mean, I run him myself quite a lot these days, sure. Amon and Raisin were pretty good, yeah. I mean, I'll check it out, sure. Majunior's leader skill is what? Giant, Gifted Warriors, and... Is it World Tournament? What is his third leader skill? I think it's World Tournament, right? No, Terrifying Conquerors. I'm an idiot. I'm a Muppet. Gifted Warriors, Terrifying Conquerors, Giant Form. Yeah, I mean, with Terrifying Conquerors, you have most of the major villains right there, right? Okay. No, Mystic. No. Kish is a Chicago Bears fan, man. We need to protect his mental health. Come on, Mystic. Ay. Next codename session. What? Vegeta and Trunks and Angel Carnival Goku are underrated heavily by the community. Sure. That's one reason I did this video right here. But they were really not good for First Form Cell, Red Zone Goku Black, Red Zone Zamasu. But then Red Zone Fusion Zamasu, they were good for, because Red Zone Fusion Zamasu does a lot more attacks. Dokkan this year sucked. Anniversary felt underwhelming. I was disagreeing with that the second it was happening. One of the main units fumbled. I don't agree with that either. Plus part 2. Part 2 is tough. It's very tough for me to defend when they released 50 more base Gokus, right? It's very tough for me to defend part 2. Worldwide felt underwhelming. Obnoxious restrictions plus part 2 choices. I don't completely agree here. Tanabata felt underwhelming. I mean, that's just bullshit. I mean, sure, Omega... yeah, like... I mean, we're not going to pretend like Omega's good design, but Super Saiyan 4 Goku, I'll take him. Monthly Dokkan Fest for garbage. That is true. Content was okay. No, I mean, I would... the thing that's funny is, the whole year... I mean, you guys could pull the clips. The whole year, I was actually saying... Character designs have been horrible, but the fight designs has actually been quite good. Because we went, you know, the Red Ribbon Army, Red Zone, the Cell fight, the Gammas fight, Cell Max are good fights, right? 8th Anniversary Sin, I thought was a good fight. People hate the AoE stuff, but, you know, tough. AoE fights have been a thing a lot, right? The first nasty fight ever, the STR Broly Dokkan Fest was an AoE fight, right? Like, Dokkan's just going back to their roots, man. Don't forget the God of Destruction. Morocco or whatever the hell, the robot, was an AoE super. Red Zone Broly was an AoE super. So, like, just because Sin was an AoE boss, like, you know, oh well. It just means that shitty offensive characters are exposed for frauds that they are. And then we get Omega, which I thought was a great fight. But then the Dismal Future Red Zone, the thing with that is we get First Form Cell, then Goku Black, then Zamasu, which are just the same fight over and over and over again. Red Zone Fusion Zamasu is quite a different fight, though. Many of the recent units have felt extremely reliant on dupes. Well, Zach, you want to know the funny thing about that? That's intentional, buddy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they want you going for dupes. Yeah, some of them don't even feel worth running at 55%. I believe this design falsely sinks. That's made pulling characters unfun. Well, you know who is a character who is quite good on release at 55%? Vegeta and Trunks. So, we know what they need to do. Vegeta and Trunks Part 2. They need to give us. TOP androids are good. Oh, no. They're great. So good, they're awesome. Tremendously powerful, so useful. When we get all the UI Goku EZAs. And they're going to be even better when we get Frost. Yeah, yeah, Universe 6 Sub EZA Frost. My expectations are pretty high. I am a Frost lover. You know, I'm in the Frost lovers fan club and stuff like that. So, you know, hopefully they will, you know, do us Frost lovers right with that STR Frost EZA. Would be the best celebration ever if the EZAs were better. Goku Black. To me, this isn't even really that big of a deal anymore because I feel like they nailed the LR, right? LR Goku Black, they nailed his ass. So, I'm not crying. I mean, they gave us... Trunks was okay. In Future Gohan is a god. AJL Zamasu is a god. In Goku Black sucks. And then EZA LR Goku Black is very good. Honestly, I feel like they did pretty good with the EZAs. That one TUR Goku Black is going to be a huge black cloud. But, I mean, just him alone, like, does not tank the celebration. Well, yeah. If they didn't follow up with LR Goku Black, it would have left a, you know, a bad ending. But the last thing we got was LR Goku Black, and he's really very good. Should add a LR Kefla and ask me to draw it or else. I love Kefla. I don't even need to say. Oh yeah, the HC Dragon Ball arc guy. He hates dodge. It's kind of. I mean, why hate the strongest thing in the game? It doesn't make sense. I've seen him say before. His argument. I mean, I apologize if I'm misrepresenting what you want to say, but I mean, you didn't explain further. But the point I saw this guy make before is how. So if you put a point into crit, 1 point is a 2% chance. If you put a point into additional, 1 point is a 2% chance to additional. But for dodge, it's 1-to-1. So 1 point is a 1% chance to dodge. So if you have 30 crit, you have a 60% chance to crit. 30 additional, you have a 60% chance to additional. 30 dodge, and you have a 30% chance to dodge. But the reason it's like that is because dodge is the most busted mechanic in the game. And if every if it was the same, like you get 2% per point of dodge, like every character could have like 50% dodge. Like, there'd be no challenge in the game whatsoever. None. No challenge. Like, dodge is the strongest thing in the game. Trying to limit the time. Again, I know people don't want to hear too much about it, but, I mean, if it's brought up, we're going to talk about it. AoE bosses are not that bad. I mean, AoE bosses are not that bad, but Zamasu doing it turn 1, slot 1, immediately with no chance to build up, when every character they've given us is built up, that is more so the issue, right? For sure. Getting sealed, stunned, or locking your characters are more annoying. Character locking is tough, dude. That is really tough. Villains are not that far behind heroes. I emphatically disagree with this. You can't, like, I wish I could just pull something up to just quickly show this, but, like, if you just look at, like, just not great options for a team, but good options for a team. And, like, we could pull up, one of these superclass teams, and we could just scroll for pages of, like, reasonable, relevant options. Villains, you've got, like, 10 characters you could run, right? No carnival villains was criminal. Well, the problem... This was Zaid's point earlier. They did very recently give us a carnival LR villain, but... They gave us this guy. It really is a thing where if this line right here, if you change this to just extreme class allies, man. This guy wouldn't become like he doesn't become, oh my god, he's like top 5 in the game or something like that. No. But he becomes a really competent character. It sucks. This is what hurt villains right here. When I was growing up, this was the big dick kingpin in Dragon Ball. And they just were like, yeah. Vegito Blue Fight was the scariest celebration. I disagree. You could debuff him. Makes it not as tough. And I mean, you could do, Android, like, Ghost Usher shenanigans and shit, right? Like, oh, a Soul Calibur pick. Is that Link? That's, yeah, so, what was it? Was that Soul Calibur 2? Where, what was it? Spawn was on Xbox. The guy from Tekken was on PS2. And Link was on GameCube. That was cool, but... it was annoying. I think I had it on Xbox, and I had Spawn. That's actually so fun back in the day that they did that. Wow, I just remembered that when I saw that pick. Okay. We're talking about LR Bulma, huh? Okay. LR Bulma's the most valuable unit in Dokkan right now. Oh, I thought he'd continue. He doesn't. I would probably say Orange Piccolo. I just feel like with how hard these new fights are, I think Orange Piccolo's impact is kind of, maybe even a little bit more. It's close, though. Bulma, Orange Piccolo. Carnival coins should have been introduced in the first place, caused more toxicity in the community than needed. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard anyone argue against, I've never heard anyone argue for carnival coins. No one has ever done that, so I agree. Carnival banners means it's better than a yellow coin banner. Would have felt better if they just strengthened yellow coin banners. Yeah. I mean, you can make the argument, I wish they would have just strengthened yellow coin banners. They could have just made the Carnival LR leader skills just, on yellow coin LRs. Like, all that shit is true, man. They actually just created a new type of LR, a new type of character, because they wanted a new type of thing that people felt like they needed to summon for. No! We lost our spot. And we didn't get that far down, did we? Oh, I love this guy. What is this? Soldier Boy, right? From The Boys. I love that character. He's great. Design issues with events and units in unison this year is an overshadowing negative. I mean, again, I don't agree with this. It's like, yeah, it sucks that they made the three Dismal Future Red Zone fights the same, like, in a row. But it was just those 3 stages. The Villain and God event, like the Mortals and God event, I think I liked a lot of those fights. Red Zone Fusion Zamasu was not the same as the other fights there. Omega, Cell Max. No, I mean, I would argue with people that events, a lot of the fights are well designed this year, actually. Units, yeah, that's been bad, for sure. EZAs have always been hit or miss forever. So are some Dokkan Fest, but it feels really bad this year with Dokkan Fest for sure. Keep releasing events with new types of difficulty, yet don't tailor any of the new units to deal with them. This isn't true. They only just did this, right? Like, 7th anniversary, hardest fight is Red Zone Broly. Cell Max is certainly harder, but he didn't, like, invalidate Broly. Like, it wasn't like Broly is like a child compared to the Cell Max fight or anything like that. Like, they kind of moved slow. The first, like, okay, like, now it does feel like we've jumped since 7th anniversary to me is right now. It's been almost 2 years, actually, since, like, they've jumped. So, like, I don't agree with this. They keep releasing events with new types of difficulty. Like, yes, they've released harder fights, but, like new type of difficulty, no. I would say this is the first jump since Red Zone Broly, myself. I mean, they're still designing characters for, like, I don't know, the last batch of content or something like that. They always do this, where they release really tough fights, and then they drop characters for them, so we're gonna start getting characters for these new fights. Because of the increase in difficult events without the units to deal with them, I feel like the artificial difficulty from event attempt limits becoming more annoying. Yeah, sure, and I am on record many times saying, people talk about artificial difficulty in Dokkan isn't a thing and doesn't exist, except for the attempt limits. That is true artificial difficulty, yes, because you load in with shitty opening rotations and the boss insta-kills you, and that's one of your 5 attempts per day. That is artificial difficulty, yes. It does, I mean, people don't want to talk about this. I don't want to push too far on it, because people will get mad at me, but, I mean, it does certainly make the events a little bit more exciting, that there is a limit to them. Again, I'm not pushing this super hard, but, like, all right, like, we got 5 attempts, let's jump in. Oh, terrible opening rotations, we're dead instantly. Run number 2. Oh, this, character didn't dodge, we're dead instantly. And all of a sudden, that sweat just starts going down my ballsack, right? Like, okay, well, whew, only 3 attempts now. Like, it makes it more exhilarating, right? It does. It actually does. But I'm not arguing for limits, but I'm just saying. They should let you refresh attempts with an item. Oh! Make it cost stamina after the first 5 attempts. Amatsu, dude, hold on. Someone made this joke before. I gotta do it. Amatsu is like an item, that we could sell in the Pilaf Trove. Yeah, that's Amatsu right now. He's looking at it. An item, yeah, it's a good idea. Amatsu loves it, man. He loves it. Big celebrations have hit this year, but in between time periods have missed hard. Well, you've just explained pretty much every live service game ever, right? I mean, again, I like Dead by Daylight. You're going to hear the same shit in Dead by Daylight. You're going to hear the same thing in Legends. I feel like a lot of these games, it's just going to be like that, right? Where, big celebrations are W and not big celebrations aren't W. All right, we're going to end here. We're an hour and 2 in. We'll probably start with quotes next time. A lot of good stuff here. I feel like some of the points I wanted to hit leading into the video, we actually did get to. So I'm definitely pleased with that. So let me know what you guys think. Again, I'm going to end this one. I'm going to put this up today on the 9th. Then I'm probably going to record 1 more hour on a lot of the comments people left. And then we'll put that up tomorrow. So let me know what you guys think. I love you guys. And I'll catch you guys next time.